So I want to start with this report about this task force.
Yep.
How significant do you think this move is?
It's incredibly significant. The state auditor said $24 billion has been spent, and they have no idea where it went trying to solve the homeless problem. We have big news out of San Diego. I don't know if you've reported it yet, but the president has appointed Adam Gordon to be the interim United States attorney here in San Diego. It's a big deal because the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Diego recently announced a plan to hire 28 new assistant United States attorneys. And we actually worked, Congressman Issa really reached out directly to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and said we have to have an interim conservative leader of this U.S. Attorney's Office so that these new hires can execute the president's vision for the implementation of justice here in San Diego County.
Okay, that's very interesting. If you talk to people who've lived here for maybe more than 5 minutes, right, it's pretty apparent that homelessness is a big issue.
Absolutely.
Concentrated in cities like San Diego, Los Angeles, but even beyond. In the suburbs, the rural areas, it's really quite an unwieldy problem. So I wonder, what are your thoughts about how much waste they might find? I mean, how deep does it go?
There's a tremendous amount of waste, fraud, and abuse. I think the biggest abuse that we see are failed policies, the policies that, right before the COVID era began to reverse policies. Like here in San Diego, we've completely reversed course on conservatorship. We have gone from about 1,300 people in involuntary treatment to only 380. We de-emphasized it. Nathan Fletcher was the supervisor here. He was the one that led the county of San Diego to de-emphasize that policy. And shockingly, when we stopped requiring those individuals who are living on the street to get treatment, and we said it's going to become an acceptable option to live here on Caltrans property or in a park, when we said we're going to allow that, shockingly, a great number of people said, okay, I want to live here in the park. Right. I don't think anybody chooses to live on the street.
No.
I think heroin addiction or severe mental illness are making that choice for them, so it's not a choice for them. I think they're actually trapped in a dangerous cycle of addiction and mental illness. And I think, like the Good Samaritan did, he didn't ask permission. The man in the ditch was passed out, but he brought him back to his house. We have to love the people on the street enough to say, like Rudy Giuliani did, I'm here with a social worker and a police officer. Your choice is to come with us to get some help or to go to jail. Now, I think we can do better than jail. Nobody thinks jail's the right place to treat the homeless. We have facilities like our special care centers. We have a great one at Lakeside, just expanded 120 new beds here in San Diego, a beautiful, compassionate facility, but it's egress controlled. You're not allowed to leave if you're in treatment there. We need to tell people, hey, you're going to get some help. We hope it'll be involuntarily. But if you're not well enough to accept the help, then we're going to bring you on an involuntary basis. Where's the $24 billion gone?
Absolutely.
We are chasing with an ever larger number of people. We have statistically, on average, offered every single one of the 170 homeless people in my city, we have 20 times offered them assistance. And we have had a 96% decline rate of services. Wow. Overwhelming. Now, since I've become mayor, we've turned that around dramatically for two reasons. Number one, we had a 60-year-old encampment and public sleeping ban that I couldn't get the sheriff's department, our city attorney, or anyone to enforce.
Really?
And I said, you know what? Bring it back before the city council. I had the council approve it 5-0. And now that we reaffirmed the political will of the council, we're enforcing it. And I will say thank you. Our sheriff's captain and our sheriff allowed us to do an operation where we did arrest 12 people for illegal encampment. And all of a sudden, now that we're beginning to make arrests, and also very important, we are focusing hard on people selling drugs into these encampments. There is a regular supply of narcotics flowing into these encampments, and these people living in the encampments are being trafficked. They are being moved from location to location so that they can borrow or steal or beg money. And every day they kick it up to the dealer that lives in the encampment. There's one person in every encampment who is doing business every day with a cartel-connected dealer who drives from encampment to encampment. Now imagine the profit if you have a couple of $100s from each of a dozen people in these encampments, and you have a dozen encampments that you tend to on the daily. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars. There's a multi-million-dollar network of drugs that's being pushed through these encampments. This is an illegal, organized criminal enterprise that the victims The true victims are the people being trapped in narcotic slavery.
Yes.
And of course, all of our families who can't go to a baseball game or even the grocery store
Yes.
without being assailed by people who are unfortunately suffering from severe addiction and mental illness.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Bill's a friend of mine. I hosted him a few months ago when he was an assemblyman here in San Diego. He's going to do a great job. He's a bulldog, and I'm looking forward to see what he comes to a conclusion here in his investigation. We need this investigation.
Yes. Final question on this topic, and then we'll switch. You go down the streets, like you said, you see tent cities everywhere. You see trash and people just living in filth, like abject poverty. In some areas, it's so bad, it practically looks like a third world country.
Even worse.
It's not safe. It's cruel. So I wonder, how have California politicians and really California Democrats let this problem compound to the point where we have to have the feds come in and investigate them for that? I think that's really the underlying issue, and I don't know if that's going to change, but we need a paradigm shift,
We do.
a radical one, because it's unacceptable.
The left has taken up a culture war argument with mainstream thinkers that goes like this. We care more on the left about people suffering from homelessness because we're not forcing them to make choices they don't want to make. Unfortunately, the informed person, the person who studied this, understands this person's made no choice at all. It may have been a choice the first time they used heroin, but the second time it wasn't. It became an addiction, a compulsion.
Yes.
They can't control it. Why then would we ask this person, once they've said no, why would we ask them if they want to continue to live right here in a public park or on a public street? We know this person can't control their own decision making, and we know it's harming them, it's harming their parents, and it's harming our community.
Yes.
So why, as educated, intelligent, moral, and compassionate and just human beings, do we not say, my brother, my friend, I'm not going to let you die here? We have about 400 people out of the 6,600 unsheltered in San Diego County die every year in this county. That's about 6%. Do the math on that over 5 years. It's a 30% chance of dying on the streets from overdose from the unsheltered population. You know, your chances of dying on Skid Row are exponentially greater than your chances of dying on death row in California. That's wrong. Skid Row shouldn't exist. It's a sign of a truly broken government and society that we allow people to live and reside on the streets when we are perfectly capable. And this is not a money issue. We have plenty of funds. If we would allocate the funds differently, the thing that nobody wants to report on because it's too dense is all the federal and state subsidies for housing. Who are those subsidies going to? Did you know that you, as a single income earner, can earn $143,300 in this county of San Diego and still receive a government subsidized place to live? Why?
Wow.
Why wouldn't we say, like the emergency room does, the man who came in with the, his broken bones sticking out of his leg, we're going to help him before the person with the flu. That's called triage. In the hospital, we triage, but for some reason, when we're trying to solve homelessness and we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars nationally, we are not triaging.
Yes.
One of the things we need to, and we're lobbying Scott Turner, the new HUD secretary, we need to overturn the Housing First law. Housing First was implemented in the early 2000s, and it forces all federal and state money. It was passed at the state level in California as well.
Okay.
But this policy says that all housing dollars have to be open to individuals who are current narcotic drug users. We have to help people get free of their narcotic drug addictions.
Yes.
Good programs at least ask people to commit to sobriety. Okay. The other important thing is women and children and recovering addicts deserve a place to shelter that's sober shelter. They shouldn't be tempted, and young kids who are homeless shouldn't be living next to somebody who's modeling drug use for them. So that's a really important policy change I hope President Trump will make immediately.
Oh, I completely agree. It's heartbreaking to hear all of this happening. I mean, I think the way you put it best is it's about intelligence, common sense, but compassion.
It is.
Letting people rot on the streets. Any way you want to slice
Die.
it, that's not compassion.
Right.
That's not empathy.
That's right.
We can do better. I did want to get to some other issues. We only have about a minute left, so just quickly walk us through, because you're running for San Diego County Board.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
How is that going, John?
You know, as mayor, I can't do the job that I promised the people of Vista and my colleagues that are mayors can't do the job unless the County of San Diego, which runs our health department and our mental health department, unless they step up and do their job. And when we talk about increasing conservatorship, having enough jail beds to arrest people who have committed crimes, who have stolen merchandise from stores, funding fully our district attorney's office and our sheriff's department, curing the $138.5 million deficit the county currently has. If the county doesn't operate correctly, then the mayors can't do their job. We've done a great job turning Vista around. Now it's time to turn the County of San Diego back around. I hope folks will go to mayorfranklin.com, check out the good work I'm doing, and hopefully join my effort.
Absolutely. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.